The light and warmth, and the constant welcome ended my old doubts and fears. I washed, joined him in the dining room, and brought him the letter from my boss, Mr. Hawkins. He read it cautiously and invited me to sit down. While watching me eat a delicious meal and making sure my glass was full of a wonderful old Tokay wine, the Count asked me about my journey. He has a strong face with a very cruel mouth. When he smiles, his sharp white teeth come out over his bottom lip at the sides, just like a cat. His fingernails are like a cat's as well, long and cut to sharp points. Once, when he came close to me, the smell of his breath was so terrible that I felt abruptly very sick. Noticing this, he stepped back rapidly and smiled. I noticed the first grayness of dawn outside. Down in the valley, bulls were roaring. The children of the night, the Count said, as listening bright-eyed. That's such sweet music, he stood up. Please sleep as much as you want, Mr. Harker. I will be out until late afternoon. Have sweet dreams. He left the room. I feel strangely afraid. I find myself thinking odd things. After I woke late yesterday afternoon, I had breakfast which was ready on the table. The dishes and plates were silver and gold, and the furniture, the curtains, everything is centuries old and the prettiest I have ever seen. But oddly, there is no mirror anywhere. I had to get my little mirror from my bag so as to shave. Afterwards, I opened a door in the dining room and found myself in a small library, full of English books, lots of about money. When I was looking at them, the door opened. I am pleased you found your way in here, said the Count, behind me. Yes, as you see, I have wanted to go to London for a long time. I dream of losing myself in its busy streets, surrounded by its millions sharing their lives. I dream of being a stranger in an odd land. It is the only way for me to be free. Here everybody knows me, knows who I am, you see. He took a deep breath and smiled in a sad manner. Please, come here to read whenever you want. You can go anywhere in this castle, except where the doors are locked. Please understand that everything here must be as it is, he said. This land is not England. Our ways are different from your ways. Lots of things here will be strange to you. He stared outside. It was nearly dark. Now, Mr. Harper, tell me about this beautiful old house you have bought for me. Carfax. An interesting name, right? I went to my room to get the papers. When I returned, I noticed that the table was now clear and that all the lamps were lit. Holmes was reading in the library. He wanted to know everything about the house and asked me endless questions about its exact surroundings, even about the hospital for mad people next door. He signed the papers and said, I am happy that Carfax is old. My family is old, lots of centuries old, Mr. Harper. It would kill me to leave a new house, I suppose. And I am happy that it has a chapel. Transylvanian counts do not love their bones resting among the ordinary dead. Also, I don't care if the house is dark inside. My tired old heart needs to restful shadows to be alone with its unhappy thoughts. Strangely, as he said this, he was smiling. After he left me, I picked up a book which opened naturally at a map of England. Circles were drawn in pencil around a few places. Whitby in Yorkshire, Exeter, that's where I live, and one on the eastern edge of London, where Carfax is. The Count came back an hour later. "Come," he said. "I am told dinner is ready." Dinner was on the table in the dining room. "I have already eaten," he said, and sat talking to me while I ate. Afterwards, in the library, he asked me questions on every imaginable subject for hours till suddenly he jumped up, saying, "Oh, it's almost morning. I have kept you up all night. Forgive me, please. Forgive me, please." And then he left me. Wanted to think clearly. Either I was imagining everything or I was in terrible danger for real. My best plan was to keep my fears to myself and to keep my eyes open. And I hear the Count returning, and I went silently to my room. I found him there, making my bed. So I am right. He has no servants in the castle. I thought of the passengers, gifts to me in the public carriage, and I touched the cross around my neck. Why does the cross make me feel more comfortable when I touch it? I will start with what I know are facts. I spent yesterday reading, just trying to keep my mind busy. Last night, the Count asked me endless confusing questions about taking his things to England by ship. When he had all the information he needed, he suddenly got up and asked, "Have you written to anybody since you have been here?" He knew my answer. "No." "Well, right now." "My young friend," he said, putting a hand on my shoulder, "write to Mr. Harkins, to anybody you want. Tell them you are staying with me for 1 month more." My blood became cold. Seeing the troubled look on my face, the Count smiled. The look in his eyes made me remember that I was a prisoner. "Your boss agreed that you should stay as long as necessary, right?" Then he handed me 3 pieces of paper and 3 envelopes. "Your friends will be glad to know that you are well, and that you are looking forward to going back, however, that's all." So, I wrote 3 short letters. I decided to write to Mr. Hawkins and Mina again, secretly. "Please excuse me," he said, after he took the letters, "but I have to work this evening." At the door, he turned, "And please let me warn you, my dear friend, not to go out these rooms. This castle is old and has lots of memories. There are just bad dreams here for those who at Castle Dracula. It is clever to sleep at night, Mr. Harker." After he left, I listened for some minutes, then went up to the room which looked soft. I looked out at the mountains, which were shining in the silvery moonlight. The beauty and peace of the view made me feel nearly happy for a moment. Then, looking down, I realized something moving to the left, where the Count's room are. I saw the Count's head coming out of a window, and perhaps it was just a trick of the shadows. Or maybe this is where the fact, and I saw the man climb tardily out of the window and walk down the castle wall like some sort of horrible bat-like animal. He was walking face down, and his coat was breathing out around him like wings. What sort of man, or monster in the shape of man, is he? I am surrounded by awful things that I dare not even think of. Has this scary place made me mad? God, save me.